Okay, I think we'll make a start. My name is Christine Champion. I'm the marketing manager here at Solve Legal Marketing. Today I'm stepping in for David, as unfortunately he's away at an event. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to type them into the chat box, which you'll find in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and I'll do my very best to answer these during the webinar. Or alternatively, feel free to drop me an email after, and I will get back to you. Okay, let's make a start. Just a little bit about Solve Legal. So we're a full-service marketing agency dedicated to the legal sector. We're part of the Practical Vision Network, which includes Lawyer Checker, the Move Exchange, and we're also the publishers of industry-leading publications, Today's Wills and Probate, Today's Conveyancer, and Today's Legal Cyber Risk. Today, we're going to be looking at some of the ways that you can improve your website. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you is, how do you usually win business? Is it via IFAs, existing client referrals, advertising? Maybe you gain leads through social media or your website. I'm sure for most of you that it will be a combination of the above. However, in reality, people generally Google it, and that could be on their mobile phone, tablet, or computer. So what does your online presence say about you? There's over 5.6 billion searches a day. Your website can generate its own leads via what we call search engine optimization. But essentially, your website is your shop window. So it's really, really important to take a look at what your online presence says about you. Some of the top mistakes that people make, we're going to take a little look at now because they're fairly easy to rectify. So the first thing we're going to look at is something called SSL, which stands for Secure Sockets Layer. Google now displays websites that do not have an SSL certificate as insecure. So you'll see at the top of the diagram there's a big red triangle that says not secure. Alternatively, if you do have SSL enabled, you'll notice that it will say HTTPS and there'll be a padlock. Essentially, SSL is a technology that established encrypted links between the web server and the web browser. And it sounds very high tech, but it basically means that the data passed between the server and the browser remains private and secure. And Google wants all of the websites that it displays to people searching to have SSL to ensure that user data is kept safe. And the search engines have now started to flag up unsecure websites, which can deter potential clients. So the easiest way to check if your website has SSL is to type your website address into your browser and see if it shows either not secure or secure, and whether you can see HTTPS in front of your website address. If you do find that your website isn't secure, I'd advise you to speak to your web developers about getting this rectified. SSL certificates generally cost anything from £50 per year upwards, so it's not a major outlay and it's vital to get your website secured. The second thing that we're going to look at is whether your website is mobile friendly. And by that we mean, is it responsive? Does your website shrink appropriately to a tablet and mobile size screen? 58% of online searches started on mobile phones in 2018, and I suspect that figure has increased dramatically since then. So people are always searching for things on mobile devices as well as desktops. In this diagram here, you can see that on the left-hand side, the website is really zoomed out and it's essentially as you would see it on a desktop screen. However, on the right-hand side, the website is optimized for viewing on a mobile device. You do not need a separate website to have a mobile-friendly site. It's all done in the coding of the website. Essentially, the code dictates how the website displays on different screen sizes. And the easiest way to tell if your site is mobile-friendly is to view it on a mobile phone. If you have to zoom in to read the text or do a lot of scrolling around to the left or right, a lot of zooming in, it may well not be optimized for mobile devices. So have a good chat with your web developer about how you can get your website optimized for mobile devices. Another big consideration is speed. 47% of consumers expect a website to load in less than 2 seconds, and people will abandon a website if it does not load quickly. We live in an age where people want everything instantly. So there are lots of tools available to check out the speed of your site. One of them is called Google Page Speed Insights. There are many other tools available. Essentially, you can type your website address into this tool, and it will analyze your website, and it will come back with a score. And it will give you a score for your desktop speed and your mobile speed. And as you can see in this example here, this particular site has a score of 75. You're aiming to get as close to 100 as possible. And it also returns a lot of information about what you could do to potentially reduce the size of your website. And that will be things like reducing file sizes for images that you've uploaded. Perhaps you've uploaded them really, really big, and actually they needed to be resized and optimized before they were uploaded. There could be lots of fancy code in your website, such as JavaScript and different sets of code that are essentially slowing your site down. And there are ways to configure this code to make it more streamlined and not as bulky for your site. So I'd encourage you to have a little look at how your website's doing in terms of speed. If you are engaging in anything such as pay-per-click activity like Google AdWords, the speed of your website is very, very important, and you need to be getting that up into the 80s and 90s ideally. The next thing that we're going to look at is Google My Business. Google My Business is a free tool which allows you to create a business listing, and it will appear in the organic search results. That means when somebody types in your name in the search engines, it will return organic search results. And it'll also add a marker onto Google Maps with your location and business information. So on this screen in front of you, you can see I've typed in Solve Google Marketing, and on the right-hand side, this is our Google My Business listing, which has come up with some photos that we've added, our key information, including our address, opening hours, phone, etc. So I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to set up a Google My Business listing. It's absolutely free. It helps customers to find your physical location. As you can see, a marker will appear on the maps in Google Maps, and it allows you to display really important information such as your opening hours and your key contact information. Next, we're going to move on to URLs and metadata. So this is related to your page titles and your meta descriptions on your website. And in this example here, you can see that I've indicated the title of the page and also the meta description. One thing that you need to ensure is that these are optimized for each page in your website. You will see that the title, the description, and the URL are all visible in the search engines, and the goal with these elements is to provide information to the person searching for your services, which will encourage them to click through onto your website. You're going to be in competition with all sorts of other websites showing up in the results. Some issues that I can see with this particular site is that the page title is far too long, which is why you can see the ... This area is prime real estate to explain your services. The meta description is also duplicated for every single page. It's exactly the same. And the description should be unique and describe what visitors can find on that particular page. Now we're going to take a look at content. The websites that Google ranks on the first page of its search results for any given search term are the ones that they consider to be the most relevant and useful. And Google determines which websites are most useful and relevant by using a really complex mathematical algorithm, which is thought to take into account over 200 different factors. Google doesn't publish this list of factors as it doesn't want people finding ways to cheat the system as they used to in the very beginning. But one thing we do know is that Google loves fresh, up-to-date content. You need to make sure that the content on your website is out of date. So you don't have copyright notices that say copyright 2002, for example. You need to make sure that you don't have blog posts that are old and out of date, where they show the date that was perhaps 2017 to 2018. These are all signs to your potential visitors and customers that actually you're not very up to date. You've not published for a long time. People may think, well, I wonder if this company are still in business. You know, the website's not updated. They've not written anything recently. They've got nothing published on their social media channels. Prospective people come to your site to find out about you, and they want to see that you're constantly up to date. So one thing that I would really encourage you to do is to be publishing regular blog articles on current topics. These need to be consumer friendly. They need to answer questions that your visitors are searching for. So, for example, let's take wills and probate. Your visitors may be searching for what is a will, what is a mirror will, what are the different types of will. There are all sorts of things that you can write about that will bring your website into the search engines when people are searching for things. Don't include lots of jargon, or if you have abbreviations and acronyms, make sure that you fully explain these. You need to remember that you're talking to everyday consumers looking for your services. And make sure that you've got a really clear call to action on each page of your website, or a way to contact you. So this is usually achieved through having a prominent contact form where people can leave their details for you to phone them back, and definitely a phone number and an email address. Ways to increase your organic rankings in Google are to produce content in the form of articles, videos, graphics, any kind of rich media that you can use to add value to your website is really, really great for Google. It will see that you're really up to date, you're providing fresh content, and that over time you may find that you start to appear in the organic rankings, which means you're not paying to appear there, but you're delivering value and people are coming to your website, and Google values this, and it will start to rank you well in the search engines. Paid for rankings will be illustrated with a little ad symbol, and essentially these are adverts that the companies are paying for. People, every time they click on that link, the company will be charged a fee. So one way to appear near the top of Google search is to pay for this via Google AdWords, and also Bing as well, which is the Microsoft network. But your ideal goal is to be reaching the top of the search engines organically, you know, without having to pay for this. We just have a quick example here. Let's say that a potential customer has 2 word-of-mouth recommendations for a will writer. Both the recommendations are from other family members. The first thing they're going to do is type your details into Google and see what they can find out about you. They may come across something similar to this, which is quite an out-of-date website that looks quite old-fashioned. It also doesn't resize on mobile devices either. Or they may find something hopefully a little bit better, something like this, which clearly explains what they do, has some good call to actions, is responsive. So you really need to think about what your website is portraying to the wider world. What ways can we help with those challenges? We know that you're always up against running your business versus actually marketing your business. We do have a range of marketing packages that range from startup companies right through to larger law firms. The packages start at $199 per month and include websites, regular blog articles, social media management, and also in our higher package, e-newsletters. These are all what we think are the fundamental things that you should be doing for your business. You need to have a great website that's secure. You need to have regular content with consumer-friendly articles. You need to be updating your social media channels regularly. If you do have social channels that are dormant, it's better not to have them at all than to not publish any content on there. E-newsletters are a fantastic way to engage with your existing clients and also prospective clients as well. And lead generation, as I mentioned before, we talked about pay-per-click activity and how you may need to generate some quick traffic to your site, and that's done generally via Google AdWords. So if any of these packages are of interest, please feel free to drop me a line and I can give you some more information about those. I hope you've got a couple of tips there that you can take away and use to implement on your own websites. Let me just check if we have any questions at all that have come in. Okay, no, I can't see any questions there. But if you do have any questions about anything that we've covered today, please feel free to drop me an email or a phone call and I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you very much for listening.